Hey everyone, it's Kirsten here, and as you can see, I'm also with Jess from The Whole Dancer. She is a health and wellness and lifestyle coach for high-level dancers and also the creator of The Dancer's Best Body program.
Yeah,
and The Whole Dancer.
Yeah.
She's busy. She's done a lot of great things for the dance community, and if you've watched my previous video supporting her program, I'm very excited to be talking with her again and promoting the new round of this program that's coming out this spring, or enrollment round, I should say. But
in January.
Yes, in January.
This month.
So we're going to be having an open conversation about how to achieve your best body with joy and your fitness goals. So this is something that's really important to both of us, that we approach being our best selves with a very positive outlook, and especially when this has to do with body image and the way you're desiring to look, it can often get negative and very emotional, and that can get in your way of achieving your goals. So today we're going to just have an open chat about that. So off to you, Jess.
Thanks so much for having me, Kirsten. I love it. I'm really excited to be chatting with you today and meeting your audience and all of that great stuff.
Yeah. Oh, and she has a YouTube channel as well, The Whole Dancer. So subscribe.
Yeah, a very small YouTube channel.
But great. I love the topics.
You gotta start somewhere.
Word, I know. I think I had 500 subscribers with my sister at one point, and we just thought that was the biggest audience ever. Like, wow, we are YouTube stars, and it took a rebuild. But hey,
look how it's grown.
Yeah. If you just put your genuine self out there and just being kind and positive, I think people can read that and it grows naturally. So
definitely.
Yeah, let's get into our chat about achieving goals, because it's audition season, and just those two words I think bring up so much tension and stress in everybody's minds, and
absolutely.
It automatically makes you question if you're good enough, and if you look good enough, and if you have it in you to compete, because it is so competitive. So I'm excited to talk about both of our experiences in the professional realm, and kind of the things that tend to get in people's way of starting that journey with positivity.
Right. What do you see that gets in people's way?
So I just noticed that people don't really accept, like they know that everyone is different, everyone's built differently, but they don't really know enough to let that dictate their thoughts and their actions. So they're constantly imposing other people's highest body standards on themselves instead of being in tune with how they feel, and if they're dancing their best and feeling their best and emotionally at their highest level of health. They totally let that slip in priority. It's more about conformity and just getting out of touch with the fact that it's about you and your journey and how you're an individual. Right. It's scary. Yeah.
I mean, it's certainly hard in ballet especially, but I think for most dancers, because from such a young age we see these images of what we're told is like the perfect or ideal ballerina. And we then, put that on ourselves and think, well, if I want to succeed in this, I should look like her. Right. And like you said, we don't take into account the fact that everyone is built differently. Yeah. And, what's healthy for you and your body may be very different from what you see or have perceived as this ideal.
Right. I also don't know what the next girl did to get there. That's the huge danger.
That as well.
Because one girl might be very healthy, and that is just the weight that her body naturally goes to when she dances a lot and she's cross-training and things like that. Another girl, and this is more often than not, sadly, might be going a little too far with her efforts to be externally visually pleasing,
right.
Or that's what they think is most important. So some people, I'm not saying that their like eating disorders are rampant. It's more patterns of disordered eating, and there is a difference, and also a lot of body image issues that are perpetuated. Now, to be clear, I want to get it out of the way that you don't have to be crazy thin to dance professionally. You don't.
Right.
Like, what is more valued is when you are strong, and you can see that in a person. If they're too thin, they're too weak, usually. Seeing muscle tone is an obvious sign of health a lot of the time. So, that's what's really important to realize is you don't know really what the next person does when they go home to look that way. So you can't impose that standard on yourself. You just have to really focus on what's best for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why a big thing with the Dancer's Best Body program is the concept of your personal best body. I try very much to make it clear that, this program is not about getting super thin or losing a ton of weight. And it sort of addresses different goals for different dancers, because I do have dancers go through the program who are interested in losing some weight, and we address that in a healthy and balanced way. But then there are also some dancers who just want to improve muscle tone or stamina, or just interested in being the best dancer they can be, and they're aware that they have to think a little bit more about their fuel and how they're treating themselves.
Exactly, yeah, because we all get to an age where you can't really be fueled off of like Cheetos and all that stuff that you can totally get away with when you're a teenager. This is one big point I was going to bring up is especially for us women, you can't be attached to your teenage body and hold that as your golden standard, because one thing I've noticed that not a lot of people talk about is like, I feel like our second puberty is a thing. And once you get past 20, it's like your body decides that it's going to go in a different direction. Not for everybody, but really, I think for everyone in some capacity, your body does change to morph into its adult state, where you have probably the most muscle you've ever had, the most strength, and you just change. Like your bone structure could change, but that's not likely, or it might look like that because of how you're building muscle differently. By the way, I don't know if that was pseudoscience. I just said right there. I don't know if your bones really do change. So I'm just going to get that out of the way and be honest. That might have been a false claim. But your body does change shapes. Yes. Really. That's so normal. And a lot of people, myself included, go through a soft phase where it's like, for a while, I honestly just started gaining fat and I couldn't really see my muscle tone. And then a year or two later, it's like, bam, I was a muscular dancer. Yeah. And that also came with learning how to take care of myself and finding rhythms that I really enjoyed and that served my body well. But I want to encourage all of you to get into a healthier mental state by just releasing that idea that you can only love and accept yourself if you look like your thinnest point when you were 16 years old. That's not
right. Cool. Yeah, it's big with that as well to remember that a lot of times dancers do go through puberty a little bit later. For me, it wasn't until like I was 18. Wow. So that body change comes later. So you've spent a longer time at what you felt was, your thinnest because you were not yet fully into a woman. Yeah. And so you've definitely created some attachment to that. There was, I went through very borderline disordered eating stuff, and I got very, very obsessed with the scale. I just did a video on that today, so it's like fresh in my mind. Yeah. But I, would set these bars for myself where I was like, I'm not going to get past 99 pounds because I don't want to weigh into. Yeah, and we create these things in our minds that we're like, that's what I have to stick to if I want to be able to do this. And it very much takes away from the focus on your dancing.
Yeah, exactly, because that's what people show up to see, That's just a ridiculous occupation to be so laser focused on what you look like, though that is honestly a valid part of being a professional dancer. You have to care about what you look like. Sorry if my computer's shaking. My cat
That's
is
okay.
attacking the chair that this computer's sitting on. But, you know, so many people are like, all that I am as a dancer is how I look. When I was, like, for instance, I was taking class today, and it was the first time I danced in 2 weeks over Christmas break.
Yeah.
So, I would have used to think, oh, that's going to be a rough class. But I went into it, I was like, I'm going to have fun, because dancing is fun, and we forget that. And I did, and I felt amazing. It's like I didn't take any time off, honestly. And the more you could get into your happiest state and your, like, most confident, where you're accepting yourself and loving it, actually, and that comes when you know you're doing your best for yourself, not just when you look a certain way. And you remember that dancing is supposed to be fun. That is when you are magnetic, and when people love to watch you and you love to dance, it seriously shows. It's not all about the aesthetics and the technique. It's like what energy you're giving off. That's a huge part.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. And I think, you know, what often will come up for dancers in the pursuit of a specific body goal that we've come up with is that feeling of discipline and perfectionism, where we say to ourselves, well, if I can follow this very specific X number of calories per day eating plan, that's going to make me get to my goal faster, and that's going to make me better faster, and that's going to help me to look better faster. And then that is so self-defeating, because it's so easy to fail when you set yourself up that way. And then that's where we get into, like, a lot of dance. That's what I did. And I know many dancers who I've worked with have been in a similar cycle where it's just very up and down. Like, my weight fluctuated so much throughout my career, and when I was dancing as a student, even in college and things like that, because it was such an imbalanced approach. It, like, very much showed in my body.
Yeah. So I think the last point to make before we move on to what to do to move towards this health, inside and out, is that, well, of course I now just forgot it. It, like, just rushed away from my brain. But, we often try to make big changes so superficially, rather than accepting it as a part of growth as a person. And you can use the experience to enrich your character, which is something that is not going to leave. Like, your character is something that stays with you if you stay balanced and if you stay focused on that. And the more you approach it as a growth opportunity in the way you look at yourself and how you nourish yourself and care for yourself, it's going to lead to a much more consistent result, for sure.
Absolutely.
Like, without a doubt. So don't take a shortcut and just pretend it's all about these external things. It is very internal, though. I think one of the first points we're going to make in the what to do section is that you shouldn't tie so much emotion to all of it. Yes, it is personal, and you feel like, oh, it's you. Like, you are your body, and oh, I don't like how big I am, so I need to be smaller, so I shouldn't like myself. No, like, I think, like we were talking about before, when we were preparing for this, in order to be healthy mentally, you kind of need to say, here are my goals. My body is my instrument, and kind of separate the emotions from, that attachment we're tempted to have of, I only feel as good as I think I look. You kind of have to get rid of that and just say, like, hey, in order to be joyful, you need to say, my goals are big, and it is so cool that I get to chase them, and that's a huge joyous thing that I am, X years old. Maybe if you're over, I think 15 years old and you're still chasing your dream, you are a part of a very small percentage of the entire world's population that is still chasing your dream. So the fact that you get to tune your instrument to get one step closer to that is super amazing. So you shouldn't hate yourself through it, but love yourself through it, because your body has already carried you so far, and maybe now's the time to think about it very objectively, like black and white. This is my body. It's the tool I have to do what I want to do. So we're just going to fine tune it. And it doesn't have to do with all these heavy emotional things of like, I'm not good enough. You're good enough. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's not that you have zero emotion attached to it. I think it's that, like you're saying, when you focus on the more positive and self-supportive thoughts and feelings, that is going to make this a joyful journey. And that is going to make it feel not dreadful and not like torture or like, self-destructive in any way, but rather it's going to help to keep you excited. Like you said, that you're moving towards these dreams and goals and you're taking those steps to achieve what you know can help you to be a better dancer, which is optimizing the way your body moves and how you're able to use it.
Right. Yeah. Huge motivator right there.
Yeah.
The other thing, as far as like if anybody is looking to actually lose weight or just to gain tone, really, it's not all about weight. Sometimes you could just work harder to just get a better muscle tone and more strength. So I don't want to sound super fixated on weight. That is like a big topic that people probably struggle with more than just feeling their strongest.
Right.
So anyway, one thing that people forget they could do is just actually dance more. They can actually do more of what they love. And that is like cardio. Honestly, if you start running variations after class, you guys all know, like, you could get so much from that. Sorry, I bounced from talking to you to like the people who are going to be watching.
No, I get it. Totally.
It's funny.
No, it's
Everyone's
cool.
following
No,
me,
it's
but
smart.
I feel kind of funny about it. I'm talking to imaginary people. That will be real.
That's just the truth of YouTube. It's fine. I do Facebook Lives and I'm the same. I'm like, so if anyone's listening,
they will be. But anyway, everybody knows, like, you get so much out of running variations or just dancing more. You can hone in on your craft and get better at it while also working your body, naturally expending more calories. And honestly, it works. There's a reason why everybody looks super fit around Nutcracker time, is because you're just dancing so much and you don't have a choice. So I say to people, like, just make it a choice to do more of what you love. And though cross-training is awesome, don't feel so pressured to, like, spend hours in the gym if that feels like torture. Or if you don't find another outlet that you love, like yoga or Pilates or something like that, try dancing more. Really, it works.
No, I love that. One of the strongest dancers that I ever knew, she had this whole routine after class, and I think she was an older dancer already when I met her, and I think part of it was just from having learned what she needed to do to prevent injury as well. But she had this whole, like, after class point routine that at the bar where she was doing point exercises that were not super crazy advanced, but they were very repetitive. And like I said, she was just so strong. And I think you're totally onto something with knowing that your cross training and what you do or doing anything outside of the studio doesn't have to make you miserable. And your cross training can very much be an extension of what you already are doing in the studio. Also worth mentioning, in the Dancer's Best Body program, the cross training component comes from Tanya of Bulletproof Ballerina, and it's very minimal. And she is like I'm a huge fan, but she very much, she very much is about being minimal with cross-training routine. And so the program that she's provided within the Dancer's Best Body program is something that's designed to take only about 30 minutes. And she says you only should do it like once or twice a week.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Super accessible. It's totally possible.
I'll say one other thing that I think is really important for reaching body goals and just kind of staying aware of those changes that you go through. Like we talked about how you feel like there's that second wave of like change in your 20s. I very much think a lot of people experience that, because I think you'll go through a period of time where even after puberty, even into early 20s, where you're like kind of doing what you want as far as food goes. But I do think a lot of people hit a point where you've got to start making more consistent, healthy choices, or you're going to see it show up in your body in maybe ways you're not so happy about. So I think that constant exploration and that constant questioning of the way that you're fueling yourself, you know, for me at this point, this is something that I do on almost a day-to-day basis, where, you know, I'll eat something and then I'll think about, you know, how I feel afterwards, and then how I might change that next time that I eat a similar meal, what tweaks I might make to improve upon it. But like from day to day and week to week, I very much am thinking about how the food I'm eating is making me feel.
Yeah.
And I think dancers need to really become curious about their food choices and how it's impacting them in the studio. So that is something that we very much talk about in the Dancer's Best Body program, is that trial and error and investigation that's kind of needed to help you find the eating plan or style that really works best for you.
Yeah, I would recommend to everyone being inquisitive, like you said, interested in how your food's making you feel. And I'm sure you go through this a lot on the program, but sticking to a routine at first, if you're totally unaware of how food affects you, oh man, like sticking to a routine really helps you gauge how you're feeling when you're sticking with that constant non-variable thing. If your diet is kind of the same at first, though you could totally change it up after that. But
yeah, no, it's a great way to start, I think, with something more consistent. And I mean, that is something too in this January round of the Dancer's Best Body program. There's going to be a lot more sample meal plan information and things like that. So I think that that will be a nice way for people to think about what could be more consistent for them as far as food goes. You know, it's like for dancers, it has to be easy. So if you have created in your mind this crazy plan of, you know, these meals that take hours and this workout routine that takes hours, in addition to all the classes and rehearsals that you already have to be taking, it's not going to be sustainable. Yeah, so I think that
you just stop.
Right. It's very much something that I have in mind every time I'm providing information to dancers, or, you know, trying to create resources that I think would be helpful, is knowing the craziness of the dancer schedule and knowing what actually is manageable within that.
All right. Awesome. Do you want to talk about the program since we're...
Sure. Yeah. So right now, so the program is enrolling now January 25th through February 4th. It's only offered twice per year. It'll be offered again in the fall. So that's, you know, 6 or 8 months away. So definitely, if you think it's something you would like to get started with now, then now is the time to sign up. It takes you through the journey of finding the meal plan that works best for you. But in addition to that, since, as Chris and I discussed, it's very much about the mentality that you have around food in your body that's going to impact how you approach this journey. We talk a lot about your mindset in dance, how that impacts your food choices, how that's impacting your confidence in the studio. And you'll go through a number of different worksheets and journaling exercises to help you work through that stuff. Because, you know, for some of us, you know, for me, the first comment I got that was negative about my body was when I was 13 years old. And I held on to that one for the duration of my career. And it was like always a thought in my head. Yeah. So I know that we have some of us have very like deep-seated issues around food and our bodies and how we're perceiving ourselves and our dancing. So we work through all of that in the program, which is like some of my favorite part. But then I know dancers also want to know more about what foods might be good for fighting inflammation and muscle repair and bone health. There's always the big, like, I need to get a lot of calcium. I need to get a lot of protein. Like, we have all these things going on in our heads. And then, you know, then there's, of course, we've heard of, should we be paleo? Should we be vegan? Should we be all of this? So we work through all of that and discuss it and talk about benefits of different things. But it very much guides you through that journey of experimentation to finding what works best for you and recognizing the importance of being healthy as number one. but that you can be healthy and reach different body goals, whether it is weight loss or whether it is increasing muscle tone or strength or stamina. It runs for about 7 or 8 weeks. I say 7 or 8 because like there's additional support that I provide, for longer than the actual modules. There's a bonus 8th module is what it really is. And the 8th week is kind of a bonus. If you've worked through the first 7 weeks and you're ready to go for number 8, then you'll get access to that. And then there are options for the different levels. You can go at the basic level, which is, mostly self-study, but you do get the element of a Facebook group where you can interact with people if you choose to. That's not required, because I know for some of us, we want this to be like a personal journey. You don't want anyone else to know that you're doing it. So you can do that and kind of go through it on your own. Then there is a pro version where you submit all of your worksheets to me and I give you feedback, which I think is one of the more popular levels, actually, because I think dancers really thrive off of feedback and like to know that, we're on the right track and we're making good progress. And then I also give additional action steps and things you might try if you have questions and things like that. And then finally, there's the elite level, which is feedback on all of your worksheets, but then also one-on-one coaching, which is, again, just kind of depends on if you have big goals or you feel like you have a deadline and you need to make big changes quick so that we can really get down to specific shifts that might help you personally to reach your goals.
Yeah, that's so awesome. Personally, I have a good friend who did the program, and it's funny, I only found out she enrolled after I was done promoting it. And she was
no way!
A real life friend. And she's like, yeah, I signed up. Have you heard of this program? I was like, yes, I have. Why didn't we talk about this? And she loved it, and she's looking great. So
awesome.
Honestly, I know it really helped her through her injury as well, just feeling like she was doing her best. So
yeah,
it's really for everybody at every stage. If you're super healthy, if you're injured, if you feel out of shape, in shape, it's for everybody, really.
Yeah, I think it is a tool that most dancers would benefit from utilizing, and you do get lifetime access. So as the program changes and evolves and improves and, things are added or whatever, you'll always be able to come back to it. So I do think it's the kind of thing you can use throughout your career as you're maybe like, oh, I think something's got to change with my food or the way I'm approaching stuff. You'll have a little bit of guidance whenever you want to do that.
That's so awesome. And especially with, again, audition season is coming. I think it could give everybody who's enrolled another layer of confidence that they're really doing their best and they're going to put their best out there with your kind of guiding voice, your reassuring voice to tell them, yeah, they are doing their best.
Yeah.
It's super reassuring, and confidence is everything in auditions, so I would totally recommend it for anybody who is thinking they want a little extra help around this time.
Yeah, for sure. It's a very stressful time, so I think it's nice to have a little bit of a group element at your fingertips. And then also I love getting emails from the dancers who are going through the program. I mean, I like getting emails from all dancers, so never hesitate to reach out to me. But particularly when going through auditions and things like that, I think it's a nice thing to have that added layer of support.
Absolutely. All right, I think we covered all of it at least
Cool.
all that we wanted to talk about today. Again,
I think that was great.
Things, yeah. So
thank you so much.
Bye to our YouTube audience. Thanks everyone for watching. If you're all sticking around until this point, and I'll see you soon. And Jess, thank you so much for Skyping with me and collaborating choosing to collaborate with me. I love your message that you're sending out into the dance world, and I'm just so glad we get to work together. I'm honored. So thanks.
Oh, me too. I'm thrilled. And I love watching your channel as well and just seeing that you're bringing positivity and very smart advice to dancers. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Bye, everybody. Thanks for watching.